back to their group to see if a compromise could be reached.
Thanks.
Yep,
Can you hold on for a second, or do you already start?
we already started. Anybody have any questions on the meeting minutes?
Yeah, I gotta take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I'll be recording the meeting, so you know.
You can keep them now, or have them. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting?
Yeah, I make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Did you say we can have, or I can have these, or do you want it back? The minutes?
Tim should probably, or you can make a copy of them for this, for your secretary, but they should probably go in our log. I guess we have no new business, so I'll wait till you're done.
Alright, I'm good.
You're good? It's up to you guys.
All right, we have, we met, and we have revised a version that we can discuss.
Okay,
We have it color coded too, so we can see what was changed, what was added, removed, and what notes are in there.
okay.
Key is at the top.
Thank you.
So if you want to take a few minutes just to go over it.
Frankfurt. Understand I'm bad with names.
I was just like, oh, I know it's something with a P. Oh, yeah, I was just gonna ask you that. Brian,
Yes.
which date are you going with for this, just for the purpose of notes? Has this been revised since,
Yeah, it's a second revision up at the top there.
all right, second
Yeah.
revision? Okay.
To figure out, keep track of it by revision numbers after the May 21st copy.
All right,
Yeah, they have,
So we consider that starting.
gotcha. Yeah, I missed it.
When everybody's ready, just give me a yell.
Whenever you are.
Okay. Questions, comments?
questions, comments? Jerry?
Well, let's, I think we should just go
Yeah, right down through it.
right through it. I didn't make any comments on the first side, anyway.
I kind of like the way you did. I like the way that sounds there.
So, done with page one.
I'll make a comment in section 6B, scope of this ordinance. I think it should include something about changing the contour, not just the movement of the road itself. Something about the contour changing should be in that section. That was the big bugaboo in the first place.
Where is this?
Section 6,
This
scope of
is
the
on
ordinance.
page 3.
It seems to deal only when you move where the driveway is. If you are re-graveling and you gravel in such a way that you're changing the contour, you might create a runoff or whatever.
Good idea.
Page 3.
Yeah. 3. The only, I actually had a comment on 6B2, and it's just
Yeah.
really a verbiage thing.
Uh-huh.
Says driveway maintenance and/or repairs are permitted without a permit.
Yes.
It just reads kind of funny. I was gonna say you might want to change permitted to allowed. Say driveway repairs are allowed without a
Are
permit.
allowed.
Yeah, not a big deal, just.
Oh, I understand, yeah, are allowed.
While you're on that one, are allowed without a permit as long as the location, I think we might want to put, and structure of the driveway intersection with the public road is not, I would prefer changed.
Structure.
Yeah, if you're changing the structure the way it hits the road,
Okay.
like
It's like a contour.
exaggerating again. Your driveway comes down now and let's say it washed out along the road. So you got this. But originally it went straight to the road. Well, if they come along and do this, I'm exaggerating, you change the structure of where it hits the road.
All right.
So it would make sense that you can't do that. If you're creating the same thing that was there within the road right away, I wouldn't think we'd have a big way of fighting you, but, and then you used the word moved at the
Yeah.
end of that. That would be physically moving where it hits the road,
Yes.
one way or the other. And I thought other places in here I was seeing where that you can change your driveway. Well, some things require permits if you change some things to your driveway.
The main thing about, well, as far as the public, or the intersection being moved, you know, which I don't think anybody, well, not many people will do this, I suppose, but if you take your driveway and actually, say you move it down 20 feet, you know, south or something, where it intersects with a public road, then that would be a new driveway needing a permit. Now, if you keep the intersection the same, and for some reason you move 30 feet along, you move it somewhere else, or redirect it, or whatever, then you wouldn't need a permit. Now, whether anybody would do that, I don't know.
I didn't follow that, Brian. Could you repeat
Well,
that?
let's say you have it would almost be easier to draw that one. But let's say you have your driveway and it intersects with the road. And for whatever reason, you decide, hey, you know, you don't like the way it goes away from your house or from your parking area, and you want it to go maybe straighter or whatever. You know, you're not changing the actual intersection.
Okay.
You're just changing, you know, the route your driveway takes from where you park the road. That would be fine. So that was the thought, is that just the intersection itself would require, you know, a permit if you actually move where your driveway intersects with the road.
Are we talking here about the 20 feet or
Beyond.
just the intersection?
Yeah, that's where the 20-foot limitation would
That's where
apply
you're talking.
too, yes.
Okay.
Because that would be basically the intersection as well. So anything past that, you can move it wherever you want it. For whatever reason, I suppose, if you wanted to widen it or whatever, I don't know. We really don't know what people want to do past that point. The main point is the intersection and making sure that it's safe to pull out, and site clearances, and, you know, water runoff and such.
Well, like as an example, 50 feet down someone's driveway, they might want to put a parking area in for 2 cars. And
Yeah.
this would say that you don't need a permit to do that.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
How about instead of, I said, the location and structure, about the location and construction of the driveway intersection within the public road is not changed.
Well, construction, what does that mean? Does that mean the type of gravel used, or, I mean, I'm thinking we should be more focused as far as, you know, you're talking the contours.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
kind of understanding that you're not
Yeah.
gonna create a dam or whatever there.
Mhm. Okay, we can.
Is there a way we could put it that it went, it has to adhere to Appendix B for the contour?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Appendix B, as long as it would meet Appendix B, it would take care of
That would.
the vertical alignment.
What do you think? I'm okay with that. I mean, that lays it out, and, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, the people up here haven't seen what I gave Brian. I'll pass it out then, but I put something together for Appendix B.
Okay.
So. While we're talking about 6B, I had a question, and like, there's existing, say that people aren't doing anything to their driveway, and they should be fixing it somehow. It's causing an issue with the township. Should we have something in there that the township has the authority to go make them fix their driveway?
I'd love to see that
But that's-
personally, but
But I'm just saying, there's a few driveways out there that should be fixed probably.
yeah,
There's not many.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and my issue, my concern, I should say, is what if they don't have the money to do anything? You know,
Or it's
What
an
do you-
older person,
yeah, what do you
an
do?
elderly person.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The other thing is the township has liability in it.
Yeah,
And what liability is on the township if they don't do something?
I think somewhere in one of the codes, so that we also have the authority to just do it.
Yeah, but it's probably, if there was somewhere else that might make it easier, less cumbersome to go through it that way. So, I don't know. I'm not that familiar with it. That would be more of a lawyer question probably. But that's a comment I put in this section is, should the township have some authority to go after existing driveways that should have maintenance done on them and fixed?
Could you give an example, Jerry?
Where there's either stormwater running out on the road or stones are always coming out on the road, that would probably be the main thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there is something or not.
First driveway on the left at Buffalo Creek.
That's state road.
That's a statement.
All right.
There's a major problem there.
But
I
it's
can
good-
think
it's
of a
good
driveway on
example.
Taylor Road that
I mean, it's a
puts
good
gravel out every
example.
time it gets down.
Yeah.
Just use that as an example. When it rains, there's that much mud on Buffalo Road. That is a state road.
What was that?
I said every time it rains, there's like that much mud across the state road. And it's a state road, that's why I use that example.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use anybody in the township. That's a prime example.
I was wondering. That's why I was asking.
Well, I think what I see is the concern, understand the concern that you don't want to burden people that can't afford it, but at the same time, if we're continually paying our tax dollars to fix it up,
You kind of are in a way. Yeah.
yeah, you're paying it anyway, so, I mean, why should we pay our tax dollars to constantly be fixing up something that's improper or inappropriate or whatever?
But what do you do though if it's really a hardship on an older person and they just can't afford it? I mean, they just get by right now with what they get and can't even afford some of their medicines anymore. So that's a real concern.
The worst thing that would happen is the township, you could have it written in such a way that the township would go in there and fix it. And then the worst case scenario is they would put a lien against the property.
Yeah.
So,
You know,
and then when they passed away, the township, I don't know what it would cost to do all that. But I said, but that's what would happen. The sewage is the same way. I said, you write it up and if people can't fix it, I don't know whether the township would be obligated to fix the sewage system. But then what would they do? They would have to put a lien against the property. There is people out there that can't afford it.
Yeah, that's a real concern. That's what other townships I've talked to do.
Yeah, but I said, but they don't want to do it.
No.
That happened to a guy that I work with. His parents lived on a road in York Haven. It was all septic systems. And the township made the unilateral decision, we're putting a sewage treatment plant in, so everyone's hooking up regardless. Lady that lived next to them, fortunately his parents could barely afford it, but the lady that lived next to him, much like, Ms. Helpfinger says, fixed income, can
Well,
make taxes and,
Well, the hookup fee to that is probably $5,000 or $6,000. Then the construction cost,
well, they charged
that was
her-
just to get into the plan.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, is they charged her $30,000. I don't know if that was to put the pipe in or whatnot. I don't know if they had to dig through ledge. I don't know the whole deal, but I know him saying, yeah, they took her house.
That's terrible.
Where they should have, like you said, put a lien on it and said, okay, whenever you pass away and your estate is settled, the lien needs to be settled as well. They didn't do it that way and essentially said that, you'll do it or else, or else happened, and, it just, so I definitely understand your concern with, forcing someone into that situation if they can't afford it.
Some of the poor people can't even fix up their homes
Oh, yeah.
that they live in because
Yeah.
they just don't have the money to do it.
Not like things are getting
It's a sad
cheaper,
situation, it really is.
So, I certainly would share their concerns, with that, but, being able to put a lien on it.
Well, I'm just
Satisfy
saying,
that for me.
somehow it should be,
Well,
whether you want to or not, that's the
Yeah.
question. I just put it as a discussion item.
Well, let me ask you this. I've heard a lot about liability on the township for problems created by someone's driveway. What do you mean? Like someone zipping along the road on a motorcycle?
Well, it
hits
could
bunch
be
of
a
gravel,
motorcycle
washed
hit
out,
gravel,
and-
or it can be ice
Okay.
melting.
But essentially, the mechanics of it would be, I'm zipping along on my bike, I hit gravel that washed out of your driveway and get all banged up, and my insurance company would, what, sue the township as well as
Well,
sue
they
the
would,
person whose
they
driveway it
would,
is?
they
or-
could sue the township and the homeowner,
Right,
and the township may only be 5% liable, but they're gonna be paying 95% of the cost when it comes down to
Right.
it.
right.
Well, you know, I don't have any experience with insurance and bikes, but as far as a car, if you hit an obstruction in the road, it's your fault. They don't
Okay.
care whether you couldn't see it because it was dark out around a bend and there was a
Right.
Jersey barrier and, you know, there it was sitting and you're doing 60 miles an hour. You know, you hit it, it's your fault.
Well, the
Well,
worst
that's what
case.
I'm trying to figure out. I keep
Yeah.
hearing about this,
Yeah.
the township has liability, and
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what we're actually talking about.
What would be the worst case is if somebody reported it, that it was happening, and it was reported to the township, and they knew about it and didn't do anything.
It's called who knew what when.
Yeah,
That's
and I
a-
said,
that's
but
a
if they
typical-
didn't know about it and it just happened and it did it,
yeah.
it would be more, I forget what it's called, but it's not near as
Active
bad.
Even if we-
nature, yeah.
If the township has been fixing the problem over the
Yes,
years,
they know.
and then they didn't fix it for a month and somebody hit it, then that'd be even worse.
Yeah. So I don't know, you just have to toss it around and get maybe Linus or somebody to give you an opinion too, I don't know.
I would like to see something in there though, like you said with the lien or something like that, something that we can do something.
But, negligence.
Yeah.
Well, that's something, I mean, with lien's something I can live with, where they say, okay, you know, the township says, we're gonna come in, fix your problem, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Then we do the lien, and, yeah, that way it's settled later on.
You can place something that restricts the lien from being acted upon until the property is sold or the person passes away, then somebody's not gonna get kicked out. So there'd have to be some kind of rider on that lien.
You just put a lien on the property, and when they sell it,
Right, no, I'm familiar
you
with
get your
that.
money.
I'm just wondering, because didn't we just hear somebody got their home taken from them?
Yeah, Tim mentioned.
Well, this was because, my understanding, now, this goes back quite a while, but my understanding was that the township did not decide to put a lien on it. They took her to court and she couldn't pay it, and, yeah, and it ended up essentially going to sheriff's sale, kind of like for unpaid taxes.
Well, I was saying some sort of protection so someone
Yeah.
doesn't lose their
Right.
house.
Yeah.
This wasn't a situation where they put a lien on it. This is where they said, here's the bill you got, 90 days to pay us, and, you know,
Yeah.
obviously she couldn't, and they
Well,
ended up
that's the
taking her to
answer.
court over it. And it was the township in question being very heavy-handed, and, you know, I don't know the outcome, although I would hope that some people at least lost their positions over that, but, you know.
That's a little overkill.
It was, but, you know, sometimes
Yeah.
people do stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know,
Thanks.
certainly that's something we never want to see happen here, but.
Is that something we can recommend to the supervisors to ask Linus about?
Yeah.
Do you want that as a recommendation?
Yeah, why don't you do that, and then I'll.
I make a recommendation that Linus review a possible solution to the, hold on, I'm still thinking.
You can write it down
Let me think about that. How do we want to word it?
Malfunctioning driveways. We have malfunctioning sewer systems now.
Okay, yeah, malfunctioning driveways.
Driveways.
Okay.
Sounds crazy.
How to remedy
Whatever way you
it
put it.
if the people can't afford it. What's the best way, so the best solution to remedy the situation in the event they can't afford it, and, you know,
Yeah.
what's the mechanism that we can put in
Way
place?
faster, way
Or a
faster.
possible mechanism.
I'm not even there yet. I'm
take
just
your
doing the
time.
setup.
We're just,
All right, so I've got recommendation to the board to consult Linus about
D, what was your word?
Malfunctioning.
malfunctioning driveways.
Potential lien.
Huh? Yeah, we're discussing.
Driveway.
I'm not sure you want to put that in the ordinance. have that you
Well,
can
just
do it.
to run it.
Driveways
So,
and-
so it can be used if we have.
Possibility of the township remediating it and
Or send it back.
Yeah,
placing a lien should the homeowner not be able to pay.
yeah. Now, this is just so we can run it by Linus, so this is.
Yeah, we're not, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a recommendation anyways, we're not,
Yeah, that's hardship on.
You're right.
How's that work? Just curiosity. Let's say you had a troubled driveway, you knew about it, and you went to the homeowner. Do you have them sign something that the township was there with a problem? Do they sign off on it? Or is it just,
If we're going
I
to,
was there?
if you're going to go after them, you'd probably end up sending a certified letter to them.
Right.
It's gotta be documented in some way, otherwise.
I just didn't know, you know, if there is an issue with the driveway, you know, supervisors or whoever goes there.
you good on your
Is
recommendation?
it in writing?
I think
Is it
so.
something they sign?
There would have to be something, it would have to be a legal document.
That's what I mean.
forever
Yep.
For them,
Is that-
for them to
Alright.
be able to get
You guys
that.
wanna hear
Legal
this?
documents that would cover the
You wanna hear
it?
township, hey, we were there.
You wanna hear the recommendation?
Told them about it.
Yeah, I want to hear that, yeah.
All right, a recommendation is to the board to consult Linus about malfunctioning driveways and the township remediating the problem and placing a lien on the property in the case of indigency.
With a legal document that they sign.
With,
Well, that was notifying them. In other words, you're talking about a way to
When
notify them
they-
that there's a problem.
Yes, when they get into the point where they know their driveway is going to be repaired, but it's going to go against their house
Oh,
whenever
yeah.
it's sold,
yeah,
then a
Yeah,
legal
you would-
document should really be
Mhm.
drawn up because that goes into the estate then,
right.
whenever they pass away. And that's the only way I think you'd be able to get your money back.
I think,
Well, this-
I think we're trying to get this to go Linus and let him figure out that
Yeah.
technical stuff.
Because this will have to be
That's-
very focused as to
Yes.
what the
Yes.
issue really is to define it. So it's not a broad definition. It
Yeah,
can
you
apply to
can't just-
anybody.
Right.
Yes,
And it would have to be a clear last ditch, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
effort.
That would be the last
Yeah.
resort.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like a third strike or something.
Yeah,
Well,
something,
well,
you know.
yeah, something like that.
something like that, yeah.
Because they have to have the ability to know that it's there. I mean,
Yeah.
that there's.
Oh, yeah, they're not
You
just
know,
gonna go in there one day and boom and,
If they
Yeah.
could somehow fix it,
Yeah.
yeah.
then,
I mean-
if they can't, then, you know, there should.
Yep.
I mean, really, the fix could be going out with a shovel for a couple hours and,
Maybe that's
Fixing
all
it.
it would take,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know, I mean, it might not be much.
Yeah. All right,
I made the recommendation. Do we have a,
Second.
Pat, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Just a question, Jerry, does your appendix B, does it address anything about drainage structures, like piping?
I didn't put anything about piping. My appendix B did was just talk about the slope of the driveways.
Should we have something in there that addresses when a drainage structure is needed? In other words, not all driveways can be put in with a swale to carry the
We're
water.
taking that the driveway right now is functioning.
No, I mean, like,
And that for them to repair it without a permit is all that I was dealing with.
Pave it.
is appendix B just for existing driveways?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And then we have an
And
appendix,
the one for new driveways hasn't been changed yet. And that's the same as what is existing now.
Yep.
Yeah, we never had any issues with the new driveways section anyhow. It's fine.
well, when you pave a driveway, it increases the storm runoff from an impervious surface to a pervious.
That depends on how the township looks at it, but most of the time, a good solid gravel driveway is just about impervious. So you're not going to get that much more runoff.
Moving along.
Were we good on, we skipped to sheet 3. Were we good on sheet 2? Anybody have any questions, comments on 2?
But on tab 2.
Page 2,
Page 2, yeah.
kind of skipped over it.
If not,
Oh,
we
it's-
can,
You know what, I'm sorry. Let's see. The very top, it says on 2, oh, I'm sorry, on page, oh, never mind.
Page 2.
Sorry. Yeah, you and Brian,
Yes,
the part under repealer,
yeah,
and I would just sort of underline a couple things.
yeah.
The part where it says, any amendments therefore are hereby repealed to the extent of inconsistency only. Nothing in this ordinance hereby adopted shall be construed to affect any suit.
I'm still looking for it.
Okay. It's under the word, where you have section 4 on page 2.
Yeah, page 2, any
Under repeal.
resolution, ordinance, or part of any resolution?
The word repealer,
Page 2.
Yes,
see the word repealer in dark, bold?
yep.
Just read that part. I just want to make sure I understand.
Any resolution, ordinance, or part of any resolution or ordinance inconsistent herewith, or any amendments thereof, are hereby repealed to the extent of the inconsistency only. Nothing in this ordinance hereby adopted shall be construed to affect any suit or proceeding now pending in any court, or any rights accrued or liability incurred, or any cause or causes of action accrued, or any right or remedy of any character to be lost, impaired, or affected by this ordinance. I think that might be unchanged completely.
Right, that's exactly what's in our current ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those, did you highlight everything, including what was done in May and
No,
May
not-
21st?
I used May as the starting point,
Okay,
so everything that is not highlighted is the same as what was
what was
proposed.
proposed in May?
Yes.
But that section, Pat, does exactly match what's in our current
the
ordinance.
existing.
No, I like the way you did the color coordination, that's pretty good.
Yeah, thanks. We did that at our driveway ordinance meeting as well. So that way we knew what was-
Yeah, look at that.
I like to
I'm right here.
point out number 6 under the
That's 2 pages.
definitions. The word driveway means the first 20 feet starting at the edge of a public road.
Yes.
The actual, you may want public road surface, because actually the edge of the public road would
Be the right of way.
be the right of way.
Okay.
So if there's a 25-foot right of way, it would be 25 foot behind that. So if
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're only directing the first 20 feet from the edge of the surface,
Say cartway.
Site cartway?
Just say
Cartway. Okay. Start at the edge of a cartway.
Right.
Public cartway.
Yep.
Okay.
Edge of a public.
So it'd be the word driveway means the first 20 feet starting at the edge of a public cartway of a vehicular right-of-way providing access between a public road and a parking area or garage with a lot or property.
it should be within a lot.
Yeah, within a lot.
Are you guys okay with 20 feet? That's all this ordinance would cover, 20 feet from the edge back.
Now, Appendix A, it wasn't changed, and that went the whole way up to the house, I think.
There was a section with, that would go up 50 feet, I think, if it was, if there was more than one connection, like more than one property that the driveway led to, a shared driveway. And that we didn't change either, but yeah, that was 50 feet.
I thought there was something that took it the whole way.
Let me see.
There's grading.
Let's see.
Number 4, the design standards, talks about for driveway serving one dwelling unit, the driveway for the first 50 feet shall have a maximum grade of 15%. The remainder of the driveway grade is no greater than 20,
Yeah, it does.
and that's
specify.
approved by the board.
Yeah.
How far does that go back to?
But 20% is a steep grade.
No, but I'm saying how far, let's suppose somebody,
It could be a couple hundred feet, 300 feet to their house.
Could be.
Could be
You
1,000.
don't want the driveway to be steeper than 20%.
is the road leading back, this is a definitional question I have. Are we talking about the road leading from the cartway all the way back to the house? That's considered a driveway?
Well, it depends where we're talking about it. Okay?
Yeah, no, that's what
All
I'm
right. Yeah, you're right, it does. It depends where we're talking about it. Okay, when in the majority of the ordinance, you go by what's in definitions, 6. However, there is, at the beginning of definitions, an exclusionary clause that states that in the event that, in fact, let me find it exactly here, unless otherwise expressly stated, the following terms shall, for the purpose of this ordinance, have the meaning indicated. So unless somewhere else it's expressly stated. So in the design standards, yes, it's expressly stated that the driveway for the first 50 feet shall have a maximum grade. The remainder of the driveway shall be no greater than 20 feet. Or 20%, I'm sorry. Unless approved by the board. It does raise an interesting question in that you could argue it contradicts itself, I suppose. Because it doesn't state that the driveway in the design standards, that this means the entire driveway. It just uses the word driveway, but I think it's, it's clear it's more than 20 feet. On the other hand, 3, for a driveway serving more than one dwelling, the driveway shall be paved for the first 50 feet. I think where the number of feet is mentioned, it's clear the definition's changed, but it's not specified anywhere.
The other thing is that, like for the more than one dwelling, there's also the subdivision kicks in for that
Okay.
ordinance, and it says that the driveway has to meet the road standards for a minor, I believe,
I think that's right, yeah.
unless they waive it somehow.
Yeah.
So, but there's another ordinance would kick in with the driveway ordinance for the new driveways for serving more than one dwelling unit.
Got it.
So did we resolve that situation, or?
Well, I suppose for the definitions, I mean, I could propose that, we indicate that for the design standards, where they specify more than 20 feet, driveway is the whole thing. But the design standards are only for new driveways anyhow, so it's not really going to be a big deal. And, like Jerry said, you really don't want a grade greater than 20 feet anyhow, and I couldn't imagine going up that in the wintertime as well. That'd be interesting. So we can, what do you think? Add a section for the definition, just stating that the design standards were specified it's greater than 20 feet.
Well, you started
Could
this,
you say like, the word driveway means the first 20 feet unless specified in the design standards in Appendix A?
Yeah, we can put some wording in there that, yes,
you
absolutely.
did that kind of where you started out though, didn't you? Unless otherwise expressly stated. And you could just add within this ordinance.
Yeah, it does.
The following terms shall, for the purpose of this ordinance, have the meaning.
It does. It's almost like I could see the inconsistency. I think it's an inconsistency, if you will. I mean, most people can read it and figure it out, but it's still, I think it's an inconsistency in that the driveway is defined as the first 20 feet, and then later on it's talked about, well, if it's paved more than 50 feet, or should be paved if, or the first 50 feet or whatever.
It has to be specified, but temporary
Yeah.
dwelling would be on there if it's more than one, or if it's a multiple housing road.
Well, if we just go ahead and work on the definition of driveway under 6, to indicate that that the length of it may be different, and, you know, we'll have to think about the wording, but the whole
Right.
concept will be that, you know, with a situation like in the design standards, we're talking about, you know, it mentions it's for 50 feet, well then it's extended to whatever the length the design standards are specifying. Some sort of wording along that line, have to think it through a little bit, but,
And could that be for a single family road or a multiple family
well,
road?
the design standards are for, you know, like number 4, for driveways serving one dwelling unit, the driveway for the first 50 feet shall have a maximum grade of plus or minus 15%. The remainder of the driveway's grade is to be no greater than plus or minus 20, and so on. All other driveways graded in conformity with standards for minor street is specified in the land development ordinance. Okay?
Does that have to be spelled out so people understand what that means?
Well, if they're getting approval for more than one house using a driveway, they're getting approval at a subdivision at the planning commission here, and they have to meet the standards of the road.
Yeah.
And what it does is it gives them the opportunity at a later date, pave it and turn it over to the township.
Got it.
Would that be the case also, maybe this is not relevant to
Yeah.
what we're talking about, but let's suppose there's an old farm road that goes back to a house, and then halfway back that farm road, somebody breaks off a lot, does that then, what you're talking about?
They would have to kick in the make it.
Yeah, land development. Well, or if they're cutting a lot off, they could do a land development.
Snyder's is one, Snyder out here
That's
did
what I
it,
was thinking.
and he had to put that into the township standards, or he's working on it anyway.
The only suggestion I'd have is if you change the definition at the front here, I would state that it's in the design standards, say as or pursuant to the design standards, something like that. So 10 years from now, someone's reading through this, they're not going, oh, wait a minute, what they do here? They can say, okay, design standards, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah, yes, to make it so it's defined, a separate definition of sorts for the design standards.
But just so that someone can see, you know, kind of what we were thinking or what we were talking about when we said, okay, you know, it's 20 feet here, it's 50 feet here, and this is why.
I didn't realize they were all the same.
Have them scratch their head and go, okay, now
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
That's
that's
all
an
now when
idea.
you-
We'll work on the wording of that to make sure that it's more clear, because, yeah, there is contradiction.
It's kind of like, we know what we're talking about, but like I said, 10, 15 years from now, there could be someone sitting there going, wait, well, what is this?
Exactly.
All right.
So did that take care of everything on page 2? Page 3, we've already discussed.
We've gotten to B.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything on page 3?
I have a question. Where we're starting to talk down here in D, it says like land disturbances within the township right of way that obstruct or have the potential to obstruct the sight distance of drivers utilizing public road require a permit from the board. Are we putting it on the person that's out there doing it has to realize it, that he could be creating a problem? And I said, I don't know how that would work. It's like just saying the person that, how does he know, or how would he know, or,
How would they know that they're doing something to
Yeah.
begin with?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. You know, with the language that's added there, you know, the original ordinance said something about land disturbances within the township's right-of-way require a permit from the board. And the thing is that, you know, I was thinking along the lines of, say, somebody planting flowers as opposed to building a fence or something like that. Because the way it's written now in the current ordinance, what is a land disturbance? It's undefined. And, you know, I argued, well, it could be planting flowers. And, you know, I get some laughter, but then you look at the 2007 amendment to the 2005 driveway ordinance, and it specifically says plantings. So, you know, that's where the thought was at, was that, you know, if somebody's just planting flowers or, you know, I don't know, putting in a mailbox or something, something that doesn't obstruct the site distance, then it's not a problem. But yeah, you know, how would they know? And, you know, I mean, that's a rough question.
I'll give you another example, like you just said, a mailbox.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about a structured mailbox, where they build a, now, how far do they have to keep it off the road? And where do we want it off the road? And where should we allow it?
Well, doesn't
It's
Jerry-
actually a structure out there.
Yeah.
Most mailboxes are made to, you can hit them, they go
Snowplow
down.
hits it and it doesn't
And I
bounce
said,
off.
now we got something out there that the car hits and it's not
Yeah.
moving.
Somebody builds a little stone enclosure.
But I said,
or
but
whatever.
there's one out, I've been on Notch Road a lot, and I don't even know whose mailbox it is, but there's one out that's pretty close to the edge where we want to put 2-foot shoulder the whole way down along
Okay.
Notch Road.
Yeah.
Now, all once that 2-foot shoulder is right at that mailbox or maybe even behind it.
Okay.
That structured mailbox should be at least 2 feet off that shoulder.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, I said, it's, stuff like that is, do we want to do it?
Well, how about read C on that page?
What page you on, Frank?
Jerry.
Same page 3, page 3C, Township Public Roads.
Yeah.
That makes it sound to me like you need a permit to put a mailbox up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I'll give you an example. Something I was thinking of doing, because I usually have to give people a description of where my house is, and it makes it interesting when I'm ordering a pizza or anything like that. I was gonna put something I'd seen at another place, and I thought was kind of cool. Big old industrial gear, big bull gear, like this big.
Yeah.
I was gonna put one there with a 33 welded onto it. It's gonna look really cool. And then I got to thinking about it. I said, you know, that's definitely gonna be in the right of way. It would be kind of near my flower bed, but still, if someone ever veered off the road and hit it, that's gonna win. And if they live, they're gonna sue the hell out of me. And if they don't live, whoever survives them is gonna sue the hell out of me for having this thing that's not a breakaway structure there. I'd still like to do it, but unless I can figure out a way to do it, you know, to make it a breakaway structure, which it's gonna be pretty tough to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, if someone decided to do something like that, or put, I don't know, a yard art robot thing, or whatever, structure, dinosaur, you name it, to say, yeah, look for the big dinosaur, that's where my driveway is.
Or put it back
You know.
further, put it back, recess
Right.
it, so it's not,
Yeah.
Right, what I'm saying, someone could do that, but for what we're talking about, if someone wanted to do that, you know, on the side of the road, obviously that's not gonna work, it's not gonna be, you know, it's gonna be a safety issue. So, you know, it's gonna obstruct views and the right of way and all that. So, I mean, that's something to consider as far as the, 3C here, I'm sorry, 6C. You know, I would think that 6C would cover that type of situation.
Yeah, if it's within the right of way.
Well, the U.S. Post Office has specifications,
Mhm.
because
height
10 years
and
ago,
distance.
mine didn't meet them, and the then roadmaster got mad at me and took it backhoe and put a big ditch behind it just because he didn't like where my box was. So I then went to the post office and asked them, where should it be? And they have exact specifications. Now, whether they figure in with the way we look at it, the township, but at the time I was kind of
well,
upset.
but we moved it twice, it
Yeah, we
seems to
moved
be.
it,
Do they have location standards or just height?
height and back.
Height and
They,
back.
the post office has all kinds of standards, or they won't deliver.
Because
mail.
when their
It's
car
not
comes
the way
through.
they want it, you don't get mail.
Yeah, because when their car comes through, they want it convenient for the
Right.
delivery
Yes.
person.
Now, do they have standards as to, like, if it has to be a breakaway structure, or can it be, what'd you call it, an assembled
I
structure?
don't think that, I don't think they,
Okay.
they
Yeah.
just worry about where they
Height.
open up the mailbox.
Height and
But-
depth,
Yeah.
But
okay.
I worked with the township and they started putting these structures up, a lot of them.
Mhm.
And the township would not touch it, which they just let them go. But most of it's curved, so they're in behind the curb,
Right.
which isn't quite as bad,
Right.
but they're still in the right of way.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, like, for the thing I was talking about with the pier, to me, that would come under signage. Because while it's not an advertisement, it is an address marker, for lack of a better term. So,
Just like talking about planting flowers. That's nice. Now, it depends on what type of flowers.
Yeah.
You know, it said, oh, once they put sunflowers out there.
Yeah.
And I said, and
Right.
the sight distance isn't just for the people driving the road, it's also for the people to go out.
Yes.
Like a lot of townships have how high the fences can be in the front yards, so that you can see out over the fences as a
Yeah.
car driving. So I did,
So do we want to change anything on C or B, or, yes, C or D on either of those, or?
well, C seems to cover a lot
C
of it.
covers the questions in D, kind of.
Could something be in somewhere that it's advised to check with the United States Post Office for depth off the road? So that people would be aware?
Well, if we require a permit, then I think that'll take care of a lot of it.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I think we need to look at C and D a little closer is what it comes down
Yeah.
to.
right.
Because, you know, obviously a mailbox is an issue that shouldn't even be something somebody has to think
Well,
about.
I would look at it that if it's going to be a permanent structured mailbox, they should get a permit. If it's going to be on a post that can be broke away, and my dad's mailbox is along 274, and the snowplows are going about 50 mile an hour past there, and his mailbox, you ought to see it, it's leaning like this, and you just keep pushing it back,
Yeah.
and it gets filled up with snow almost every storm, so. But I said, he has his back off the road, and there's a big wide shoulder there, but I said, they just plow the heck out of that snow, but it's a breakaway type
What,
of
heavy
thing.
sno at 50 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Has to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, under D, you just say land disturbances, and maybe there should be something in there, like he was trying to say about putting something in your yard or whatever within the right of way. How about, or any structures which are within the township's right of way? And then you have to define structures and definitions.
Well, I'm looking at it saying if we get this too complicated, then it just
Right.
gets out of hand.
But you're only addressing land disturbances, which, again, you're looking at it from a layman's point of reading it, and the land disturbance is taking a backhoe, and just taking a backhoe in and digging it out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's disturbing the land, but
Oh, yeah,
if you disturb it by putting a structure there of some sort, it's gonna cause some kind of hazard. It should probably be addressed.
Couldn't it be put in there that they're the size, that if they want to put something in their yard, it has to be at a certain, the height and the size, so it does not obstruct anything that's coming around their property.
I think you hit on something here too, Frank, is knowing where the right of way is, because on our road, the right of way is right into your yard, because the road isn't wide.
It's 16 and a half feet from the middle out there, probably.
The right of way is what, 33 feet, 32?
Yeah, so it's only 16 and a half from the center. That's not,
Right.
it's out in your yard. But imagine, like mine's 25. It goes 25 feet into my road.
Yeah.
If I wanted to plant something in there, I'm within the right of way. I'll put a,
Yeah, why not, it's around 32 or 33 feet to 150 feet, if they want.
But each road dictates, in fact, Jerry, you know the specifications, each different road, I think Notch has about the narrowest.
Depends on the classification.
Yeah, each road is classified as, you know, what kind of road it is, and it gets specified as to
Yeah,
what
but
the
that, most, if it wasn't subdivided,
yeah.
It's 33 feet right of ways.
Yeah.
And I said, then if there's a subdivision, it could be 25 feet from center or 30 feet from center usually. So,
You know, on section C, just a thought here, I'm looking at both of them. And my thought is that, you know, right now it says any altercations to the public road, the shoulder of the public road, signage, drainage, and/or other township property installed on or part of the public road and within the township's right-of-way requires a permit from the board, is that maybe there should be something specifying that it has to also affect site distance. That way, you know, like a right-of-way that does extend halfway into your yard, but it won't affect site distance, you don't have to worry about it.
Right? Just
What section were you just reading from? Brian?
6C.
But if you combine the two, then you still have to think about something for the permanently structured mailboxes.
Yeah. Yeah, but if it doesn't affect site distance, then,
But they're not site, that's, I mean, putting a mailbox that's made out of stone or whatever
yeah,
this far off the edge of the road is dangerous.
yeah.
I mean, I hit that with my car, I'm gonna get hurt.
Well, is that something you guys want to look over and,
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to look over that and come up with some other wording, right there.
on to page 4?
Section 7 you have crossed out and then renumbered there for after.
Yeah, yeah.
You could have said section 7 deliberately left blank and then held the same numbering.
Yeah, I could have, I just figured I'd renumber it now.
Okay.
I mean, it could have renumbered a couple times.
Oh,
Yeah, I could have.
you know, a thought too might be, since someone had brought up the possibility of, trying to think of the way to put it, what we were talking about with malfunctioning driveways.
Yes.
Maybe that could be section 7 of, I'm not sure, again, I'm not sure how you would word it, but to say, you know, if,
Yeah.
you know, if driveways aren't maintained to the point that they create a public hazard, you know, that, you know, all that we had talked about with that I guess we're gonna talk to Linus about,
Yeah.
might be a good place to put it.
Other questions, comments on page 4?
Let's hit the hard one,
All right.
permit fees. That's not gonna fly. I mean, I understand why, but we need to reach some kind of compromise on that. I'm thinking, just throwing an idea out, maybe when a proposed, normally we can adopt new fees simply by adopting a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
What about if we somehow publicly advertised or at that point sent letters to everybody that we're going to change the fees or something along those lines, that somehow the public was notified before the rate increase or change in fees takes
Okay.
place? Because now it can happen at any time. The board can decide next meeting to change fees and nobody's there to, you know, that's aware it's going to happen. So, I mean, the referendum part needs to be thought out
Mm-hmm.
because that's a very complicated process to start with. So I'm just throwing out there to come up with some kind of compromise on that.
well, if we get the website up and running, could it be, well, not everybody has
Yeah,
a
it's gonna
website.
be-
Yeah.
You know, to me, the compromise, and I don't unfortunately know the financial ramifications of this, but how often do we change fee structures in the township?
Not very often, and it usually, like our reorganizational meeting, sort of in the beginning of the year, if there's any major things that get changed or whatever, that's usually, I mean, not that we can't change them any time else,
Right,
but
but-
for the most part.
Well, I'm just trying to get a handle on,
Yeah.
on
How
how
often.
much this happens, you know. how-
Potentially once a year,
Yeah.
but,
Potentially
I
once a
mean,
year,
on
okay.
average, once a year,
Okay.
but it has,
All right,
Yeah.
so I think maybe a compromise might be to send a mailer to everybody in the township, which again, I don't know the cost of that.
Yeah, it's about
Um,
$76.
Okay, well, that's probably a lot less than trying to get something put on a referendum on the ballot.
Yeah.
And that way it gives people a heads up, they know about it, everyone's gotten it, you know, it's not advertised in a paper that nobody gets or on a website that nobody sees or some people don't have access to. And then we'd have to figure out a time frame, you know, say, 60 days before, 30 days before, I'm not sure what would be
Before it goes into effect?
before it's voted on or talked about.
Oh, I see. I see.
Because I'm guessing, you know, Brian, your point behind wanting to have the referendum is so that people have a voice in
Yeah.
the changing of the fee structure.
Yeah,
This way, at least it gives people, you know, notice that it's going to be discussed at a meeting, and if people have comment on it, they can show up at that meeting,
okay.
And
so.
one other thing is that with the two different types of permits now, one for new driveways and then one for repairs or maintenance, I think that structures themselves, the permits could have maybe two different fees. The ones that are maintaining the driveway shouldn't be as much as the new driveway. I
Yeah.
would think.
That would- yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing for maintaining us.
Well, when they don't meet the standards of B,
Yeah, okay.
then they have to get a
Then they
maintenance
have to
one.
get a permit. Yeah, and that's just.
That's what I said, that permit
Could be
could be
less.
less than the
Less.
new
Right.
one.
We all
Okay.
agree.
From a taxpayer's perspective, I would like to see some sort of computation done on what average cost is for a new driveway, so that the fees reflect what it costs, and the owners pay, or the people who are putting a new house pay for it, rather than the township.
the cost
covering that
to the
burden.
township,
Right.
yeah.
Just as long as it zeroes out somewhere close. Some are going to be higher, some are lower, but if we get an average, rather than to set it so low so that, that's just from my perspective.
You mean, for instance, what we pay Jerry to go out and look at it and, you know,
Right, what the total
Right.
cost is for Jerry, and I don't know how much Bob's involved, whatever, when you get these things done, if we can find
Right.
out over a period of a year what, somebody look at that
Right.
and see what it costs, rather than just to set it at an arbitrary figure. That way, the taxpayer's not shouldering the burden for someone putting in a new house or a developer,
Right.
who should be shouldering that burden, putting that into the price of the property.
Well, most people that, like for a new house construction, they put it right in the mortgage. The builder will put it in the mortgage. And the same with the sewage systems, a lot of that goes right into the mortgage.
Yeah.
So they pay for it indirectly, but they don't see it coming out for a new driveway.
No.
And the other thing would be is set a fee, a set fee, and don't go by hour. And come up and say, this is what it's going to be. Then the township gets no cost of a new driveway, okay? That's what the sewage enforcement officer, the only time the township gets stuck is when he has to go look at a malfunction.
Yeah.
And they pay him by the hour. Otherwise, his fees are paid by whoever's getting the sewage testing done.
So that fee would be what, let's say the
Yeah, we could come up
engineer,
and they would just say, this is what we're gonna do it for, and everybody's paying the same. And
that's what it is, no matter how much,
then-
how long
and
it
it's
takes
not
you,
gonna-
or,
if I take 10 hours doing it, and the fees are for 1 hour or something like that, I said, I'm the one that's stuck,
yeah.
or Bob. But to have it as, this is what we get paid by permit.
That makes sense, yeah.
That's up to you. I said, I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is you would make the permit fee what your guys' fee is, essentially.
Yeah.
An
We'd
average
say-
over wherever,
say
yeah.
we'd say that's $125.
Okay.
Whatever that comes out, whatever, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. I don't even know if that's right.
Well, I mean,
But I
I think,
said, but the new driveways, I think the people should pay for it. Now, the ones maintaining it, it shouldn't be near as high.
right. Yeah, I think, yeah, everyone can agree with that. Yeah, certainly, I mean, it would be nice to have a cost basis behind the number than just to say, well, it should be X, you know. Is that agreeable to you guys?
Well,
That's, we think about it.
yeah, we'll think about it. We'll think about that. You know, I'm also looking at it and saying, you know, how many driveway permits are pulled in a year? That I don't know offhand, but,
I don't either.
you know, this might come back to cost of governance type issue too.
Right. Yeah.
Permits per year generally reflect the economy, because I know it's gone way down.
Yeah.
Yeah, even septic permits, I mean, if you get the monthly reports from JC, we don't get any hardly at all because
Yeah.
there's not any new septic systems being put in.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's plenty of for sale signs and sheriff sales in the township, so,
Yeah.
you know. All right then.
So did we come up with a solution on page 4, or you guys are gonna look at that a little bit?
We'll look at it
Okay.
and discuss that.
On to page 5.
Bob just mentioned changing a little bit of the wording on section 9, the very last sentence, to when a driveway accesses a state highway, comma, state highway occupancy permit is required, as opposed to the current wording. Basically, means the same thing, but it looks, might be a little clearer.
So put a comma after accesses.
Let's see, a comma after, let's see, when a driveway accesses a state highway, comma,
Okay.
a state highway occupancy permit is required.
There we go.
What page you on?
5.
And what number? The bottom?
It's right above section 10.
Okay.
Yeah, go right above section 10, it's the last sentence.
Okay.
And what were we adding?
Putting a comma after highway and putting a state highway occupancy permit
Okay.
is required. Just same thing, it just changes
Yeah.
the wording a little bit.
The next one, where we have design standards, I think we should put in whatever we want to call this new appendix B too.
Okay.
Including an appendix B in there that we can also be amended by the board from time to time by resolution, whatever we want to call these.
Okay.
Anything else on page 5?
I'm just wondering if 90 days for a dangerous situation isn't kind of lenient, and something that could soften that would be weather permitting. I mean, you can't push somebody to fix something in January around here, but if something's dangerous, 90 days to fix it is, we're getting back to that liability thing. I'm just wondering.
Well, that's why it was changed to 90 days, it was weather permitting. It was based on weather, because, you know, January or February, hey, you got a month to fix your driveway, and, you know, it's rain.
Yeah, you're out of luck.
So, yeah, I think it was originally 30.
but you talk about that, and if it's one that ice is going out there, and you're sending out a salt truck every morning to take care of the ice at that driveway, I said it comes to a point is, when do you take action as a township and just go out there and rip it out? Or I was at a place where there was 5,000 vehicles a day on the road, and a guy paved his driveway, and the first winter came. Now, nothing happened, but it started melting and running out every night. I said that the manager sent the highway crew out there and ripped out his driveway. Because he says, I'd rather fight with him than fight with somebody that has somebody injured. So, that's what they just did. And I said, and the state would do the same thing. The state isn't as nice as this.
Yeah.
The state would just rip it out, and they don't care whether you get in your driveway or not.
I make a suggestion, maybe 45 days with hardship, some sort of hardship wording.
Could you put something in there to maybe give it a time frame, and then unless approved by the board?
If they need more time.
Yes, and some things might, 90 days might be fine to fix, but other things might not be fine to fix in 90 days. So,
I think both of you need to, Brian, yeah, I don't think Brian heard
Sorry.
either of, that's okay, you're talking. So both of you I think should repeat what you said. Go ahead.
I said that some things 90 days is fine to wait, but other things, it might be a thing that we can't wait 90 days, or the township can't wait 90 days. And I would say that maybe put a shorter time unless approved by the board, that they can go out there. I hate to put them to a meeting, but you'd almost have to get to a board to get the 90 days. But and this would be another thing to ask Linus, if what would be reasonable, you know.
I'm gonna put that in your notes, if you don't mind.
And I don't know, to ask Linus, we probably should have something written and send it to him and get his thoughts on
Yeah.
it.
And then Bob, whatever comment, I just want to make sure that Brian heard what you were saying.
I was just saying it could be pushed back to 45 days unless there's a hardship exception, like weather or whatever. But Jerry's addressed that anyhow, so.
Yeah, if we kept it maybe at 30 days and that's otherwise approved by the board for, if there was a hardship or something, then the time could be extended as long as it's not a dangerous situation or something.
Probably have to be a little more than 30 days, because some board meetings are further than 30 days apart.
Or just put it in there,
Another
or the first
Township meeting.
board meeting,
Yeah.
something like that.
Anything else on page 5? I'll wait till you're
Don't
done,
get too
sorry.
far. Easy there, Skippy. Alright, so I got the recommendation is to ask Linus what a reasonable time frame would be to rectify improper work, section 11. Is that what we're asking him? Okay, someone making a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I'll second it.
All in favor?
You ready?
Aye. Opposed?
Bob just mentioned that section 12 modifications would also cover the 90 days issue with section 11,
Okay,
which he has a good point, yeah. You know, since it is part of the ordinance, you know, somebody could go to the board and ask for a modification. So it is kind of covered. It's just it would have to be reduced to like maybe 35 or 40 days because of the distance of time between board meetings.
okay.
You might want to put in there somehow that they have to get to the first board meeting after notification.
Okay. Yeah, I have something in here.
And because they wait 40 days and they just miss a meeting,
You have to wait a whole other 30 minutes.
Instead of getting to the meeting that they could have made,
Yeah.
they didn't. I don't know how we'd handle
Well,
it, but I said it's,
What if they can't make it to the meeting? They got a vacation scheduled going to, I don't know, Hawaii for the week or something.
Even if they submitted something in writing,
Exactly.
so that there's a way to at least have knowledge of it at
Yeah.
the meeting and it.
Top of page 6 covers that.
Oh.
Well, a wise board could just inform them in their notification of when the next meeting is. Say, well, we're meeting on the November 2nd if you're interested in attending, have any questions. In the letter that we send to Al.
We go on page 5?
Well, what I don't understand about what was just, let me ask you, Frank, are we mixing up rectification of improper work with requests for modification? Can you explain what you were saying? I'm lost here.
Well, my understanding.
All requests for modifications have to come with the application. It's as simple as that. If you want to put a driveway in and it doesn't meet the standards, your application has to have that on it. That's what the first line says.
Right.
So, I don't,
No, I thought we were, was that in some way connected to what we were talking about, the 90 days with the rectification of improper work? Or is that something, you were talking about something different?
I thought I was just talking about whatever notices we send out, we would just put in, I said a wise board would just put in there, our next meeting is blah, blah date. If you have questions, please plan to attend or something like that. I mean, whatever I'm just saying that if we send out a notice, it would be wise of the township board to tell the person in the notice when the next meeting is.
Well, it should be in there too, that if they can't attend, that they must have something in writing at that meeting, so it can be read or shared with the board.
You know, our biggest issue here is based on weather, really. You know, could it just be by time of year? I mean,
Well,
let's
it's
say
still
if
the problem if it's a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
They might, even if the weather's bad, they might have to deal with it. I didn't have railing on my deck, and my insurance company came in January and said, you have 15 days or something to put railing up, and that was it. Then we had to do it, and there was no question.
Yeah.
So,
Did you put the railing up?
yeah.
The other problem with time of year too is, let's say it's June and it rains for 10 days. You know, you're not gonna be able to get any work done. It might create a hazardous situation.
Or we have winter until April like we did last year.
Yeah.
All right. We moved on to page 6.
I think so, yes.
I have a question under penalties. How do you do a summary conviction before district justice for something like this? I mean, does the township,
I would refer this whole section to Linus, and Linus wrote the last one, and they changed it because the last threat was sending them to prison. But I would send this to the solicitor.
the penalties section?
Yeah, I said, that was all Linus's. I don't know whether would this be a civil complaint?
That's what I'm asking. I mean, I don't know.
I think so.
It would be,
Yeah.
I think so too.
I mean, it's not,
That's what the
it's not
sewage
criminal.
is.
Not criminal.
But
you
the
know,
district, does the district justice handle civil complaints? I thought he only handled criminal complaints.
No,
I
civil
just
too.
filed one on sewage, and it was at the district justice office.
They handle,
Civil.
It's a non-traffic citation is what I filled out.
bless you.
non-traffic citation.
And you file it as an officer of
Yeah.
the township.
The blue section up here about considering adding language from the engineer, I don't think you have to, because most of the modifications are coming because the driveway permit application was rejected to us, and they're coming to the board for that reason.
Okay.
To try to get it, but that, I forget, I don't know whether it's up in the front, but the other one was the township engineer reviewed it and either accepts it or rejects it. And
Okay,
usually that's where the modification would come from, and being rejected.
okay, so it's rejected by the engineer.
Normally, that's how it would, I see it going anyway.
Yeah,
Unless they just come in somehow and want a modification.
Yeah, but I think the thought is that, somebody goes ahead and they want a modification, and let's say the board isn't, checking with the engineer for the modification. And that's why the language is considered to be, to consider adding the language is
I thought
make
that,
sure the board is actually doing something or granting a modification that makes sense.
I thought there was language in the old one about that. I don't know, maybe not.
I don't think there was. The old one, let's see.
What are you looking for?
See if there was anything in the old one regarding that under modifications, and I don't think there was. I think they're pretty much left out alone.
Under modifications.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah, I think we left modifications completely alone, because I don't see anything that sticks out, and says it was changed.
Must have been reading under where they would return it to the township,
Yeah.
the original application.
I'm just going to throw this out, which I think I've mentioned before, and I think Brian and I disagree on this, but this, and I know Linus is going to comment on it if you want to send it to him, but if you give this person a chance to either pay for it or pay the $1,000, and it costs much more than $1,000, here's my check, and if I don't, and I'm rich, and I'll just hand you the $1,000 and say, leave me alone, and if I'm poor, I'll say, I don't have $1,000, so what are you going to do about it? I still think there has to be something more that goes past what's written here. That's just my opinion.
Especially maybe if you're a utility or a corporation. And they say, it's gonna cost us $1,000 just to send the truck out there for the day,
Well, that's something that came up, is that, let's say hypothetically, somebody goes ahead and violates the ordinance, and it's right next to a bridge, and they cause $30,000 worth of damage. Now, not too many people can afford that, and that does create a quandary. So, what do you do?
Don't mess the bridge up.
Well, if they're like any other criminal, they could pay like $3 or $4 a month for the rest of their life and never pay it off.
Yeah.
That's what happens. I'm sure the fire company is all about that.
We just got a $60 check. We haven't seen a check in like 9 months.
Yeah.
That's, I don't want to get political, but that's kind of like what's wrong with America. People say, I'm not taking responsibility for my actions.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when I lived in Arizona, Maricopa County, they had emission standards. And if your car wouldn't meet emission standards, you had to prove that you had spent $500 to make it meet emission standards. So what someone would do is go to a garage and say, my car's never, it's gonna cost $2,000 to make my car meet emission standards. Here's your $500, give me a receipt, done. Now, they had to do it every year, so eventually that gets expensive. But, now if you have a highly modified car, then I guess it's worth it. If you have some junker that you just need to get past for a year, that too. But it kind of strikes me sort of the same way, except this would be a one-time deal. And, that's gotta do something with
Have you
that.
ever had any issues like this before?
Who, me?
No, the
Oh.
township, I'm saying, as for, has this ever come up before that you had to deal with this? That someone didn't apply and fix the damages that were there?
I don't think we've ever enforced it. We've just been going around cleaning them up. Like if it was a bad driveway, we've been paying for it as taxpayers over and over and over and over. Never.
There are things, I'm trying to think of what specifically, but we've gone to the district justice about some things, and usually the problem is by the time you end up paying the district justice, the fees and everything involved, it gets costly. That's why if you can get something done ahead of time, or work something out with the people, that's always the best way. But, some people just diss the law, they don't care, so they're not gonna.
Well, as Chris pointed out, I can go do what I want to do. You're going to drag me to court, and you're going to end up paying most of those costs, and you're going to get your $1,000 fine, and I'll say, oh, well, I'm poor and broke. I'll give you $5 a month for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And the fact is, if I quit sending you checks, you really can't do anything about it anyway.
Because then it costs you more to go back to court.
Right? I mean, you could maybe get me put in jail in contempt of court, but good luck with that.
Yeah, that's what the
So-
thought was, is there was contempt of court.
What if you just block their driveway off and they can't use it?
Yeah, well, that's what we added to.
Well, I saw that reserves the right to render the driveway unusable. That's probably much more of an issue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a little different than paying $1,000, that's, uh-oh.
Yeah, originally it was pay $1,000 and, go away.
Okay.
Right.
Now it's pay $1,000, and by the way, we're gonna put a big rock or a big guardrail or something right in the way, and you know what?
That would be a Linus question,
Yeah.
whether we can do it.
Yeah, I think that,
I'm not sure you can do that.
Oh, I was having a heart attack, and the ambulance couldn't get in my driveway because the township
Yeah.
dumped a big rock there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep,
there's-
so now you guys can pay me
liability.
every month.
That's the only
Yeah.
problem with almost everything.
yeah,
The downside is there's a liability
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
And there's more ways than
And-
you can.
999 times out of 1,000, it's not gonna go that way, but the one time it does,
Yeah.
it's gonna hurt, and it's just, I've seen it happen. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone here has seen that happen.
I got it. The thought also that I have in mind here is that, nothing's gonna be perfect, and there's always gonna be
Right.
a hole somewhere.
Absolutely.
I mean,
You'd just rather not step in it.
well, yeah, you wanna avoid it as much as possible, but
There's something there.
Right.
it, you get to the point of being, ridiculous.
Well, and here's another thing too. My thought was, any kind of restoration work on a driveway, if it's not as small as using a couple hours worth of shovel work, and you're gonna rack up $1,000 and build pretty quick. You can do that without even blinking.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I don't, just kind of throwing it out there, maybe increase the amount of the fine, but, again,
You
that,
can't do that past a certain point.
right, true.
Yeah, 'cause
And
there's
as we've
a
discussed, I mean, you could put a $100,000 fine on there, and if someone's not gonna pay it, they're not gonna pay it.
There's
There's
a
a-
thousand out,
there's
you're
a-
not gonna get anything more,
Well, there's a limitation in the second class code somewhere.
there is,
that
there
it
is.
says how much the fine can actually be. And, I think that goes along with, the whole penalties allowed by the code and everything.
Well, it should probably be both. I mean, the fine is to penalize you.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
The repair work,
You're saying take out the or and put both.
It
right,
should be and instead of or.
the repair work needs done. I mean, whether they can afford it or not,
So
we can do the lien thing or whatever.
change the order.
later.
Well, maybe you will have to use that again in a situation like that.
Well, here was,
Some places, like on the sewage end, you take somebody to court, they have a malfunctioning system, they
Yeah.
get fined, they get found guilty, it goes 30 days.
Mhm.
Once that 30 days goes up, and if he doesn't have it fixed, and it's still malfunctioning, I think each day starts constituting a penalty.
A separate offense.
So I said it would be $1,000 every day then,
Yeah.
after that time.
Well, then you still get to the point of where they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Just send in $5 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lose-lose situation.
I do like the idea, I think Frank's idea there about eliminate the or and make it an and.
As long as we have in place that the lien can replace the payment, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So let the attorney decide that.
Yeah, so we should have Linus look at the penalties too.
So
I
does that mean
mean,
you're making the motion?
I make a recommendation that we have Linus look at the penalties.
Mm.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Should that include something about a lien option to replace the cost up to the township? In other words, ask him if that's possible, to throw that in there as well.
We can add something. We kind of covered the lien in that other comment that we sent to him.
I'm just gonna put lien option on there. That
Yeah.
way You can, while you've got his ear, you might as well ask him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Clauser's storage in Newport built a building and it got just within the footage of the creek, 1 foot. And DEP or EPA, whoever it is.
DEP
$1,000
probably.
a day after 30 days.
Yeah.
He had 30 days to tear that building down and take it back a foot.
Yeah.
He got the dozers in there and cursed a lot, but
Yeah, but DEP is also the 800-pound gorilla,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay. Here's the whole section about, we were talking about the fines and everything. Enforcement of summary offenses. For an ordinance regulating building, housing, property maintenance, health, fire, public safety, parking, solicitation, curfew, water, let's skip all that. The Board of Supervisors shall provide that its enforcement shall be by action brought before a district justice in the same manner provided for the enforcement of summary offenses under the Pennsylvania Rules of Criminal Procedure. The municipal solicitor may assume charge of the prosecution with the consent of the district attorney as required under PAR Crim P number 83, not sure what that's shortened to mean, relating to trial and summary cases. The Board of Supervisors may prescribe criminal fines not to exceed $1,000 per violation and may prescribe imprisonment to the extent allowed by law for the punishment of summary offenses. Also goes on existing ordinances and how they change it for that law, but that doesn't really apply. So that there limits the violation, to $1,000 and so.
And that kind of explains the process for a summary.
Yes, yes.
then the only option would be to have the ability to put a lien on the home for the repair, because $1,000 is it.
Policy is that much, fine.
Yeah.
Where essentially the township would do the repair and
Still
then
gotta
just
do the repair.
have to put a lien on it.
That line is figured. The fine's gonna be the same deal, I'll pay $5 a month.
Yeah.
We're all paying.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I have a question, appeal. The 60 days they have to appeal. The owner or developer aggrieved by any action of the township official may appeal to the board within 60 days. I think isn't that specified someplace?
It probably in the code.
I thought it would be the same as like a building permit or something like that.
One of the
I don't
codes,
know
is
what
it
it
60 days?
Hmm?
Is it 60 days? Is that what
I
you
don't
said?
know, the other one was 30 days in the old one,
Yeah.
and I said it's, I guess if aggrieved by the action. I said, I don't know whether it would hurt the township with waiting 60 days, but
Well, I think the thought was is that sometimes the board meetings are greater than 30 days apart. So then, you need to consider that.
But I think that it would go by the date that it's sent to the township, probably.
Wouldn't 31 days cover it?
I think about 35 or 40
Yeah,
these days.
That way you
Yeah.
can be sure.
60 is a long time if you're waiting to do something.
Yeah, if the township's waiting, yeah.
Normally, they make the township act, like after they appeal to the township, normally in something like this, they say the township has to act within so many days so that it's protecting the people that's aggrieved.
Yes, yeah.
So I said it's usually the other way around, so I don't know.
So we should add something in there about the township needs to act in so many days. Yeah.
That's fine.
So that's something we need to look at maybe a little bit.
I'm just saying the days, I don't know. I thought they had a certain amount of days, like if you do a subdivision and turn it down and you give it to them in writing, they have like only 15 days, I think, or something to respond to that. And there's certain things that they're said what you have to respond back in if you don't like it, the conditions.
If it requires a board vote, then it's going to have to be.
Yeah, but that makes the board have to act on it.
Right.
This is him appealing it,
Yeah,
and then the board has to act on it after that sometime.
yeah. Good point.
And there should be something in here making the board act in a certain amount of
Yep.
time.
Yes.
Well, that's where you could say the board must act at the next board meeting, rather than put a time frame on it,
Yeah.
just because, they have a certain time to file it, and as you said, sometimes the board meetings aren't exactly 30 days,
Yes.
but just to say at the next board meeting, the board must act on it.
You want to protect the board, though, in this way. And I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
protect government, but if somebody walked in and they knew that the board meeting was tomorrow, it doesn't give the soups time to understand what's going on. Maybe
Right.
have it, like, the plans have to come into the planning commission 10 days before the next board
Right.
meeting. Maybe the response has to be in 10 days before the next board meeting, then the board members have to act on it. That gives the board members time to study the situation.
Some lead time.
Yeah.
What happens
Still might be
if
tight.
there's bad weather?
That still might be tight. You don't know what you
That
need
sounds
to
kind of
get.
similar to me asking to see Pat's motions 10 days in advance. That didn't fly either.
So I couldn't hear
Is
what
there
you
anything to consider, or?
I only heard about half of what you said. So I said I only heard about half of what you said.
If we have bad weather.
Right.
And you wouldn't be able to hold the board meeting, and then the days are going to be a problem then.
Yeah.
It should
Well, I
probably
think-
be 60 days. I mean, just to
vote
be,
for the next meeting.
Yeah.
just probably be 60 days. And if it is a
That should be
critical
very
time
good.
frame, you can always call a special
Oh.
meeting or something to address it.
For
I
instance,
did see something somewhere where there was a, the board meeting had, or something had to be within so many days, or if it was, too short of a time period, it was the following one. So it could be something like that, like, if there's more than 15 days to the next board meeting, then it has to happen at the next board meeting. But if there's less than 15 days, then it has to happen, within the next two board
Following.
meetings.
Yeah.
Something like that. That way there's time and there's a,
The one thing I think about is, what if they have to get a hold of the solicitor?
Yeah,
They
get legal
they
advice.
can't find out what's going on until the meeting.
yeah.
They don't have other meetings, so I said they
And
They
remember
almost
this,
would have to protect the board, they would have to have at least 2 meetings probably.
if we put a time frame in, hopefully the solicitor will catch it if it's wrong. Because
Yeah.
some things, we can make a shorter time frame, but not a longer. So let's say we only have 30 days and we say 60,
Yeah,
the solicitor would have to catch it. Because
Yeah.
some of the codes will say you have less, and we can make it less than what they say, but not
Okay.
more.
yeah, well, we can put that language in and it all has to be reviewed anyhow by the solicitor at some point.
Any other Questions, comments?
Are we at the end?
Yeah, we're on
Yes.
page 7.
Page 7.
The last thing, the documentation.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth, I said that the permit should be, hopefully the permits get in a certain way that they would answer all this stuff, that the permit itself.
Yeah.
And that's what I would hope, to say that you can get copies of the permit or something like that, and it would answer what you want to know.
Well, this is basically just a receipt of sorts.
Right.
You know, that's about it. Just,
Just explains what's going on.
yeah, documents that something happened.
Right.
That way, if anything ever comes up, then they have a piece of paper that says, hey, you know, right, here we go. You know, I mean, granted, yeah, there should be the permit or whatever, but, you know, it's just an extra measure, shall we say, to make sure that there's some paperwork there for whoever's, you know, applying for the permit.
Just like you're saying, having the 3 supervisors sign the final document.
Yeah, the final permit, yeah, the document.
I don't know whether any of the supervisors will sign any of the permits.
He's talking about the receipt for the appeal or whatever, aren't you?
No,
The receipts?
no, this is documentation. They want to know.
This is just to show that they have completed everything that they had to comply with.
Well, it's for proof of any monetary transactions, inspections, and/or interactions relating to this ordinance, specifically. Instead of 3 supervisors, maybe 1 supervisor, or 2.
They have to have
How
some.
about thinking about something along the lines where it shall be entered into the supervisor's minutes at a public meeting?
Okay,
Try to write something like that,
Something
throw
like
it back at us.
okay, that's,
Because that's documented and it's public knowledge. so-
yeah,
I mean, like somebody gave us a check right at the meeting. That was step, so it was documented right on the spot.
yeah,
Check was received.
okay. So yeah, that's a interesting idea, might be, yeah, I don't have a problem with that, as long as there's something that's documented.
Yeah, they have something
I
that
don't
they
wanna
complied with everything.
throw some water on that, but I've had a situation here at the township where years ago, I got my ground perked, passed, and the township lost it because I didn't act on it, so I had to do the whole thing all over again many years later, but still, the point being is, I don't see the burden on the soups to sign something.
Well, I'm not saying sign, I'm saying just enter it into the record.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And
I'm
how
saying
about providing
if the
a copy
person
of it?
has, if I have to depend on, I'm a little leery because of that. If I have to depend on the records of the township, I'm a little uncomfortable. If I put a lot of money into doing what they wanted me to do, either the engineer or the soups should say, yeah, you did it. Somehow that I have the receipt, that I can show the township later that I did do what I was asked to do. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
How about
This
this?
is basically what we're
You're
talking
interesting
about.
though. One time you say one thing and one time your view's another way. It's interesting.
Yeah, this is just that the person has something in their hand that they can say
I get it.
that they've been approved,
Right.
and they can keep that.
Oh, that's what,
their
he's
records.
agreeing with, he's agreeing with you.
Well,
Yeah.
here's what
I tried to put it in
The
La La
minutes.
Land, whatever. I tried to put it in the minutes and he's saying,
Mhm.
get that document.
Well, here's what I put
I
in my
understand
notes.
that.
Change such that this is entered into township records and a copy will be provided to the applicant.
And if we could
So
do it
that,
at board.
you know, the applicant has a copy, maybe it should be certified by the secretary with this township seal on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that would work instead of having someone sign it.
yeah,
That
Write
way,
it up.
down the road, someone can, if it ever comes into question, they have it.
Because they're right, it's, I mean, they expect all three supervisors to,
Yeah,
we just did a resolution, and I'm not sure we all three signed that yet. So,
yeah, if the township seals on it though, then,
Right.
you know, that should be more than enough.
I would think so too, just so they have something in hand
Yeah.
that they can prove that they have complied with everything that they're supposed to do.
What should happen on a driveway permit? They should be, it'll be issued, and I don't know whether the cost, I think the cost is. And that should have the addresses, phone numbers, everything.
Yeah.
And then that permit that he has, when the official goes out there to inspect it, he should be signing off on that copy that he has. I would take it that I would go to check and make sure the driveway went in right, I would think.
From an engineering perspective, in other words.
So then you would be the official signing that document.
Yeah.
Do you sign it after it's completed, that you've signed off on
I
it?
haven't done one yet. Steps is the first one that I've been involved with since Madden was here. Now Madden was also an engineer, but was a zoning officer as
Right,
well.
yeah, that's true.
But I never saw a driveway permit.
Well, I think we covered this pretty well, right?
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah, we've got
happy?
a lot that we'll be meeting tomorrow night to discuss some of this, so.
Okay,
Mary,
good.
I was wondering, was Steps driveway, you know, all the issues and everything that they had over there, yeah, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I know it was. Could it be any of the areas where you can't see very well? Can any of that land maybe be, maybe trimmed off or, you know, taken away that you could see better? That
That's on
those-
Hunter's land, too.
Well, there's an issue. He doesn't own,
That's the problem.
we had to move the
Three
driveway
times.
to where his land touched the right of way.
Okay,
Where he cut in, he went across Hunter's land.
yes. But I thought you
And
had moved
Alpha,
that.
this guy right over there probably surveyed it.
No, I didn't survey it.
Alpha did.
I didn't have any part to that.
Alpha did.
All right, motion to adjourn?
But
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm.
Second.
No, but I said, but that, if it's on his land, he could cut it off, but if it is on Hunter's ground, he might have trouble.
I thought you moved that down south.
I just couldn't
When
hear.
I thought you moved it down. further.
I did. He probably didn't cut it in yet, I
Yeah,
don't
but I'm
think.
just saying, if some of those areas, maybe it could be made safe.
Most of the high brush is on his property here.
Okay.
But out where the township
I
mows,
have a sentence.
township's mowing probably some that they don't even own. By looking at it.
Because I was thinking-
Because if you go out there, the guy,
Yeah,
the surveyor put stakes right down through there where the property line was.
give yourself a
I'm
nice
so glad with whatever, we
Yeah.
did mistake, but I'm concerned
Why?
about.
because this one is, my SD card is full.
Drive,
not
I mean, not drive.
I'll tell you what,
Because the road
you need to
itself
take
is the road. Then I'm sure
Back next time.
that's.
Well, before next time, it's gotta go to Wayne.
And if we left.
Oh, you could, but that doesn't- I don't-